In this video, I will talk about 4 steps to change a habit. Let's get into it. Step 1. As an example, let's say that you have a habit of yours of going to the kitchen, grabbing a chocolate chip cookie and eating it with a cup of tea. And let's say that this habit of yours caused you to gain a few extra pounds. And you tried to stop yourself. And even you went so far that you printed out a phrase saying, "No more cookies." But every afternoon you managed to ignore that print, get up from your place, wander toward the kitchen and eat your desired chocolate chip cookie. It feels good, but then it feels bad. Tomorrow you promise yourself that nothing will happen again. Tomorrow will be different, but this isn't the case. How do you start diagnosing and changing this behavior? By figuring out the habit loop. And the first step is to identify the routine. In this cookie scenario, the behavior that you want to change is the routine of going and grabbing a chocolate chip cookie. So your routine is that you get up from your seat, wander toward the kitchen, grab a chocolate chip cookie and eat it. So that's what you put into the habit loop. Next, there are some less obvious questions. What's the cue for this routine? Is it the hunger? Is it boredom? Or is it the sugar crush that you are going for? Or is it the break before getting into another boring task? And what's the reward? Is it the cookie itself, the burst of energy from that sugar, or the temporary distraction before you get into another boring task? Rewards are powerful because they satisfy cravings. In order to find out which cravings are driving your routine, you have to do a little experimentation. This might take a day, a week, or even longer, but you have to be very patient. During that period, try to think of yourself as a scientist during the data collection stage. On the first day of your experiment, when you feel the urge to grab a chocolate chip cookie, you have to adjust your routine to give a different reward. So on the first day, you should try to, for example, replace having a cookie with a 5-minute walk. And then the next day, try grabbing an apple instead of cookie. And then on the third day, grab a cup of coffee instead of the cookie itself. You get the point. What you choose to do instead of grabbing a chocolate chip cookie isn't important. The point is to test different hypotheses to figure out the craving that is driving your routine. Are you craving the cookie or a break from the work? If it's the cookie, you could go for an apple. If it's the distraction, you could go for a 5-minute walk. Or if it's the burst of energy that you are looking for, you can go for a coffee. After each activity, set an alarm for 15 minutes. Then when it goes off, ask yourself a question. Do you still want the cookie? Why the 15-minute alarm? Because the point of these tests is to determine the reward you are craving. If after 15 minutes you still want to go and grab a cookie, then it isn't motivated by a sugar crush. But if after going for a walk you can easily continue doing your work, then there you go. This is the temporary distraction that you were looking for before starting a boring job maybe, or work or something. By experimenting with different rewards, you can identify which thing are you craving, and this is essential in redesigning the habit. Once you figured out the routine and the reward, what remains is identifying the cue, which leads us to step 3. Step 3, isolate the cue. The reason why it is so hard to identify the cue is that there are lots of information going on that confuses our behavior. Ask yourself, do you eat breakfast because the clock says 7:30? Or because you just woke up? Or maybe because you started dressing up? Or maybe someone else started having a breakfast? To identify a cue within the noise, we can rely on science. Experiments have shown that almost all habitual cues fit into one of the 5 categories: location, time, emotional state, other people, and immediately preceding action. So if you're trying to figure out the cue for going to the kitchen and grabbing a chocolate chip cookie habit, you have to write these 5 things down the moment the urge hits you. For example, where are you? Sitting at my desktop. What time is it? 2 p.m. What's your emotional state? Bored. Who else is around? No one. What action preceded the urge? Started writing a script for this video. Write it down every day, and after several days, you notice that it's around 2 p.m. give or take 30 minutes. It isn't the hunger though, but the distraction I was looking for before diving into another task. Step 4. Have a plan. A habit is a formula our brain automatically follows. When I see a cue, I follow the routine to get a reward. The easiest way, according to a study, is having a plan. So I know that it's around 2 p.m. that I have a routine of grabbing a chocolate chip cookie. The reward is a distraction. So I wrote a plan. At around 2 p.m. every day, I will go for a walk for 5 minutes. It was the distraction that I was looking for, so it was working for me just fine. It didn't work from the first time, and it doesn't work always, but it is a good starting point. The days that I followed the plan, I felt better because I didn't eat those extra 300 calories. This is not easy, but with practice, I'm sure that you will change your habit as I'm doing right now. Last but not least, I highly recommend you to read this book by yourselves. There are lots of information that I missed out, and I'm sure it's going to be interesting for you. Be sure to share this video with your friend who doesn't seem to change the bad habit that he or she was willing to change for a very long time.